Here with Concordia head baseball coach Ryan Dupic to preview the 2025 season, and as we record this, you've had a little over a week coming back since New Year's. Wanted to start with a little bit about the program as a whole. You've won at least 40 games in 4 straight seasons. Why do you think the program has been able to kind of maintain that level of consistency in recent years?
Yeah, we've had a good run of players. It's the first thing I think about is there's been a lot of really good players. We hit on a couple pretty good recruiting classes with some guys and the kids that graduated last year and some of the older kids right now that have done a really nice job. So stacking a couple of those in a row has been really, really helpful. And then I also think that we kind of had a good group of talent, but also at the same time had sort of years of building a solid foundation within our program and the type of sort of culture and environment and identity that we've created just kind of came together. So I think it kind of landed on a sort of a nice run here, and now we're trying to keep this thing going as we continue to get older and have some good kids, but also lose some good players, and looking forward to kind of that next batch to step up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this team's going to look a little bit different from last year, but what are you seeing maybe right now that gives you some optimism that this can be a pretty good team if it continues to make strides?
It's a fun team to coach so far. They're pretty coachable. I think they have really good character. They're good kids. So I think there's kind of a sense of humility and a little bit of hunger there, which I like. We have some good players returning. I think we've obviously lost some good players, and there's no question about that, but there's some really good players returning that a lot of teams would love to have. And so I think if you could have a combination of talent and also kind of good competitive character and such, I think you have a chance to be a good group. So I like this group. They've been fun so far. Hard to tell a lot inside so far, obviously, but it's been a group we've been excited about.
Right, and a lot of that work will continue indoors probably up until the first game in February. But what are some things you're focused on right now and hoping to get done in these weeks leading up to the first game?
Yeah, I think just some versatility with how we can approach things offensively and defensively. We've been pretty one-dimensional over the course of the past couple of years. But not necessarily in a bad way. Very productive in those one dimensions. But now I think we'll have a team that has a chance to maybe do a variety of different things a little bit more frequently at times. So we're trying to prepare for that a little bit. And then the main thing right now is we're just trying to get people on track with routines and schedules and pitchers built up and get the hitters some at bats and just kind of build some of the simulating the best game experiences you can while you're inside, which is not easy to do, but do it the best we can.
I think I asked you about the outfield in the fall. Obviously, all 3 starters were guys that used up their eligibility last year, and all 3 were I think, multiple-time first-team all-conference. How do you see things coming along, and do you maybe need to see some games to really get a better feel for what you've got there?
Yeah, we might need to. I mean, I think we have guys who are capable. We have a returner like Alex Draper, who got some time last year, who I think will be in the mix. We have some newcomer guys who I think are going to be in the mix. I thought we did a decent job in that front from a recruitment perspective. Guys like Bronx Lewis is an outfielder, is a transfer outfielder that shows a lot of athleticism and does a lot of good things. Jaden Jordahl and Leighton Rivas and then we think we have kind of an infielder that can be a little flexible, Kate Spilmer, who can move around a little bit. So I think there's some guys that have the opportunity to make a good impact, but it's just really new, to your point. We might need to see a little bit more of that as the season progresses, but we think we have some options, and we're looking forward to seeing what they can do.
And at the same time, the infield returns some very familiar faces: Jaden Quinn, Jimmy Bloomberg, Ty Nikolajczyk, and Matt Rhodes across the way. But what kind of comfort does that give you that all of those guys are very experienced players?
Yeah, a lot of comfort. I think I especially think about it defensively. I think we're always kind of trying to find that next fit with the infield. I think that's been the case with the infield almost every year, but this is really the first year that we have everybody basically coming back at those spots. So it's really, it's really nice to know that you got guys that are multi-year starters at basically every position and have played college baseball multiple years. I think the infield defense has been a primary focus for us this time of the year every year. Now it's like, it kind of is, it still is, because it's an important part of the game, but we feel a little bit more comfortable about that heading into the season.
Mm-hmm. Should mention you have a returning catcher as well, Tanner Tompkins. Quickly, what's the depth like at that spot?
Yeah, good. Tanner and Mikey have both, given us good production, and I think they're a nice blend. Tanner's a good offensive player. Mikey continues to make strides offensively. He's got a ton of offensive potential, but Mikey's just a good receiver, good feel for the game. So, they have a nice balance. I think the two of them together really provide a nice combo.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know people will miss watching Joey hit home runs, but you have another big slugger with Jaden Quinn. What has maybe impressed you most just about the way he's gone about things since he got here?
Yeah, it's great humility. He's an excellent kid. He's a team-first guy. When you're that good of a player, it's easy to be selfish and more into yourself, but Jaden's not like that. He's a really good kid. He has high character. He wants the team to be great. He works really, really hard. So I think the areas, just from a character and integrity perspective, I really respect the heck out of him and his approach and the way he goes about it. It's very uncommon to be that skilled of a player and to still have the right approach. And so I love who he is as a person, as a teammate. Best compliment I'll give is, as good a player as he is, I'll miss him more as a person when his time is done here.
I wanted to touch on a couple specific people. Matt Rhodes stepped in as a freshman and had an incredible year. Maybe that gets overshadowed when you have all those other guys, but even NAIA ball named him the National Freshman of the Year. What do you see in his development as he's a sophomore now?
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to seeing what he can do again. He's a good player, again, a good kid, really wants to do well. Not seeing a lot of him offensively right now, admittedly, the way our facility setup is and such. So I don't see him every day, but offensively he had a good fall. Just a ton of power, obviously, and he's a tough guy to pitch to. He's really unique, just in the way his approach is and his swing and what he can do. So, as he continues, he actually has some similarities to some of those other really good power hitters in that he does a lot of things really well, but there's still other facets that he can improve. Just the way he handles certain pitches or zones as he goes, the way he handles swing decisions and such like that. So it would be really great to see what he's capable of as he continues to progress in some of those other areas too.
And this be the senior year for Ty Nikolajczyk, who was the program's first ever NAIA Gold Glove Award winner. What has he meant to the program?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite kids I've ever coached. Sound like a broken record with this, but he is just an incredible kid, terrific character, has really plus feel for people, for situations, for the game, for understanding just how things flow and how things work. He is the guy who is listening to every message when you're delivering something. He is the guy that is extending the message to the rest of the team. He is the guy who you don't have to worry about having buy-in. There's trust. I could go on and on about him. He's a special kid. You really make your program with guys like that who maybe weren't necessarily highly recruited, but turn out to be incredible players and people. So he's a special guy. I mean, he's a big, big part of what we do.
Back in the fall, you talked about still feeling like you needed growth from that pitching staff. How are things progressing in terms of finding that group of guys that you feel like you can count upon this spring?
Yeah, I think as long as we stay healthy, I like the way our starting pitching staff is starting to come together. I think relievers will be a big part of this. I think probably one of the guys who's maybe the most overlooked from a year ago was Jacob Lycan. His production out of the bullpen was exceptional, and he did it in a role where he's not always throwing the ninth, so you can throw him multiple innings in the middle of a tight game or something like that. So he was really, really good, and so I think our ability to develop kind of 4 through 10 in our pitching staff is going to be what I think is a key indicator for our season. I like the way some of our starting pitchers are progressing, and I think we have some experience there. But that bullpen is going to be a really key piece for this as we continue to progress through the year.
Well, you can't necessarily take for granted hitting 100 home runs every year. I know you've talked about this team maybe being a little bit different, but how do you approach things, I guess, strategically now with this lineup?
Yeah, hopefully we can run a little bit more at times. We're still going to try to get our foundation on just winning at bats. We're going to hit less home runs, but we're not going to hit 15 of them. We're going to hit plenty, and it's a good group. And I think even home runs, is kind of an extension of really slugging percentage. We just want to hit some extra base hits, and so at times doubles, can be obviously incredibly productive too at any time. And so maybe you don't hit 115 home runs, but if you hit 60 or 70 and you hit 40 or 50 more doubles, like that can be a really big extension of this too. So it's really just being a little bit more versatile, a little bit more situational. There's plenty of guys who are going to get up and we're just going to go win their at bat, but there's plenty of guys who might be able to provide a little bit more flexibility and versatility and do some different things. So we'll figure it out as we go. I think we're trying to prepare ourselves right now to be able to be a little bit more versatile, and then we'll see how the year progresses and what direction we go with that.
You already talked about this just being, I guess, a really good group of guys and fun to coach. How does that chemistry serve as a competitive advantage and maybe raise the level of what the potential of this team is?
Yeah, I think it is the competitive advantage of our team. It's the most important thing in our program is just who we are as a group and what we stand for. We've seen that year after year, particularly when we go on really good runs late in the year. You see there's a special bond amongst that group. I think there's a really big difference between getting along and truly loving each other and not wanting something to end. And the best teams that we've been a part of here, we see the second thing. I'm biased, but I really feel that the environment that we have here is special and unique in that sense. So I think that this is a group that will have that. I'm really encouraged by that. I think they'll have each other's backs. I think they'll be really encouraging for each other. I think they'll challenge each other in the right ways. I think they'll want this thing to last for a long time. So I think we're building the foundations of that right now, and now we just got to keep building the skills alongside it and continuing to try to get better.